APWU family. This is President Mark Dimondstein with our new podcast, Communicating with You, the Member, and bringing you up to date on a lot of important issues and sometimes fast-moving events. And I want to remind all of you before we get started that you can download the podcast on all streaming services, including YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you choose to listen to podcasts. And of course, you can also find it on our website, apwu.org. So APWU family, hardworking and dedicated postal workers, congratulations and happy anniversary. 2025 is the year of the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Post Office, 1 year older than the country itself. So think about that. We're talking about approximately 12 generations. We're the 12th generation of postal workers since Ben Franklin was the first Postmaster General of the United States. And let's be very clear that the post office survived and thrived and still continues to be so relevant and trusted by the people of the country because of all of you and those who came before us and those who passed the torch to us. It's the workers that made the post office go from the early post office times, forging roads and railroads, maybe on horseback, stagecoach, trains, buses. So, a lot of people don't know. Mail used to be sorted on trains. They used to be sorted on buses that went from rural community to rural community. Dangerous working conditions at the time. Hundreds of postal workers were killed in rail accidents, for example. And then, of course, trucking, airlines, moving mail, and we've always been there. Workers from all crafts, whether we sort mail, once by hand, now by machine, window clerks at retail units servicing the customers, truck drivers and our MVS craft moving the mail and repairing vehicles, maintenance employees keeping our machines going, our buildings going, support services with the IT work and the support around our rights and benefits as workers. All of this, all of the success from the post office has come from you. So you should be very proud of not only our history, but what you do every day for the people of the country. Not always easy when management makes poor decisions, when service is not what it should be, but we move the mail every day. We sort, we transport, we keep the machines going, and we help get the mail. Once it gets to the letter carriers, the mail comes from us, and they get it to every address in the country every day, 169 million addresses. Think about what a wonderful national treasure we're a part of. And then we have our forefathers and foremothers who stormed the heavens in the 1970s strike. That was the fundamental time, the key struggle that turned postal jobs into good living wage union jobs. And we just ratified a new contract that's continuing that march of progress based on what the courageous strikers did in 1970. So one of the things I've done as your president, I've done around the 250th anniversary, and we'll talk about a few other things we have planned, is I've submitted a opinion piece to the newspapers as your president, and I want to share it with you. We don't know for sure that it's going to be published yet as we're recording this, but we certainly hope so, and if it's not published, we'll share it this way and others as well. And here's what it says. While the post office celebrates 250 years of service, new privatization efforts threaten the survival of this national treasure. That's the title. Growing up near the Boston Post Road, I never appreciated that an old thoroughfare between New York and Boston had been forged by the early postal system. Nor did I know that I would one day proudly earn a living as a postal worker or spend 12 years as the elected leader of my union of postal workers. From that experience, at this time when the country is celebrating the 250th anniversary of the post office, I have a unique perspective on the United States Postal Service's past, present, and future. Older than the country itself and enshrined in the Constitution, the post office was created on a then radical commitment to the free exchange of ideas and information among the populace. The Founding Fathers relied on the post office to organize the Second Continental Congress and to circulate the Federalist Papers. Later, the abolitionist movement agitated and organized against the evils of slavery, largely through mailed newspapers and correspondence. The post office has driven the nation's development from roads, railroads, and civil aviation to the Sears mail order catalog to Amazon's e-commerce. What is today referred to as the USPS has always changed and adapted to the times. Vote by mail first gave Union troops access to the ballot box during the Civil War, and today it is the preferred method of voting for tens of millions of people. Rural free delivery, permanently implemented in 1902, linked isolated rural communities with the rest of the country. The Postal Savings Bank, established in 1911, softened the blow of the Depression for millions before being killed by the big banks in 1967. The e-commerce revolution is unimaginable without the USPS's unrivaled network. For generations, the law has required universal and affordable postal service to every community. While private shippers maximize profit, the public USPS remains the low-cost anchor of the $1.3 trillion mailing industry, to the benefit of 169 million households and businesses that receive their mail 6 and sometimes 7 days a week. The USPS has led the way with its fair hiring practices, good living wage union jobs, and as the largest civilian employer of veterans. Workers from all walks of life earn equal pay for equal work. The Postal Service remains a true symbol of the strength of the public good and is prized by the vast majority of Americans, with dedicated postal workers among the most trusted public servants in the country. Yet as we celebrate this historic milestone, new threats are directed at the very existence of this national treasure. The White House is openly advocating for postal privatization, an idea promoted for decades by the likes of the Heritage Foundation. As Elon Musk rampaged through government, he declared that selling off the USPS was a priority. And now the Postal Board of Governors has shamefully selected a new Postmaster General, Paul Steiner, right from competitor FedEx, an obvious and glaring conflict of interest. If the privatizers succeed at selling off this public institution, in whole or in part, Wall Street investors and postal competitors may celebrate, but postal customers, businesses large and small, households urban and rural, will suffer. In February, Wells Fargo advisors put in writing what is usually whispered by the private shippers and their allies in Washington. Privatization of the USPS would be a boon to UPS, United Parcel Service, and FedEx, and lead to increased parcel prices by a stunning 30 to 140%. The Wells Fargo memo also said that many local post offices would be sold off and closed, or as the big bank terms it, harvested for value. Want to know what a privatized mail service looks like? Look no further than the Royal Mail, the United Kingdom's historic postal service, now owned by a Czech billionaire, where a first-class letter costs $2. In Portugal, privatization has resulted in 3 days a week delivery. The USPS is a successful example of government of, by, and for the people. It belongs to us, the people, and not to Wall Street. Through new and expanded products, e-commerce package growth, and better staffing, the USPS can remain a vital public service for generations if it can survive the vultures who wish to privatize. The following inscription, carved into white granite on the Smithsonian Postal Museum, is a powerful reminder of why it's so important to maintain the USPS as a public service, especially as Americans commemorate this important anniversary. Quote, "Messenger of sympathy and love, servant of parted friends, consoler of the lonely, bond of the scattered family, enlarger of the common life, carrier of news and knowledge, instrument of trade and industry, promoter of mutual acquaintance, of peace and goodwill among men and nations." End of quote. Happy anniversary to the People's Post Office. The U.S. mail is not for sale, nor should it ever be. APWU family, that's the end of my opinion piece submitted to the newspapers. We hope it publishes, but whether it does or not, I wanted to share with all of you. And this ties into our event, our recent event, protesting at Wells Fargo. in New York City, but spreading that word throughout the country. That Wells Fargo's plans, and they make it very clear this is a struggle between Wall Street and Main Street, between the wealthy few and the tens of hundreds of millions of people that the post office serves every day. And this effort was to shine the light for the people of the country on what's really driving all this talk, more than talk, plans, proposals, concrete ways to get there, such as in the Wells Fargo report, of those who want to privatize to enrich their own profit margins and laugh all the way to the bank at our expense. So our job partly now is to share with the people of the country that the threat is serious, the threat is real, but what's driving it? It has nothing to do with more efficiency, better service, or anything else. It has to do with how these private banks, these investment companies, these hedge funders, and these private corporations can make money off the public institution, the money that's generated by the users of the post office, no tax dollars, and then they're going to take it all the way to the bank. And what happens is prices will go up. The Wells Fargo report makes it very clear that's their goal, and that's what they're cheering about. Service will go down because then it's going to be determined on whether somebody can make a quick buck and a profit. Workers' rights and benefits and wages will be destroyed and shifted to the non-union private sector. And according to the Wells Fargo report, post offices will close. So that's what's before us, APWU family. And the more we stay united with each other, with the other postal unions and postal workers, with the people of the country, all our allies in the labor movement and beyond, the more we stay united and the more people understand the threat and where it's coming from, we're going to unite and we're going to continue to win and thrive going forward. We want the post office to be here at least another 250 years in changing times, maybe serving the people in different ways, but here for the people of the country and to serve their needs in a changing world. Yes, letter volume is down, still very important for the people of the country, but that's an impact of the internet, and yet packages are exploding because of that same internet. And we want to make sure we're there and that management makes better decisions than they have about the service that the people of the country need and deserve. And based on better service, we should be able to continue to grow even in these drastically and fundamentally changing times. So one of the things we're going to be doing during this anniversary year is we're going to launch a campaign. It's called a proclamation campaign. Now, what does that mean? We're asking all of you. We're all over the country, from the most rural outpost to the deepest urban center and everything in between. People trust us. We know a lot of people, and we represent people, and we think it's a strength, who have very different political views and cover the entire political spectrum. And as part of that, we have built relationships as postal workers and our locals and state organizations with many elected officials at the local and state and really federal level too. So what we're looking to do during the rest of this anniversary year is to work with city councils, county commissions, town select people, whatever entity you have in your local government, to get proclamations honoring the 250th anniversary, lauding the role that the public postal service has played in the life of the country, and opposing any efforts to privatize, in whole or in part, our wonderful national treasure. And that's going to take a little work, but it's enjoyable work, meeting with city councilors, meeting with mayors that we know. We will share with everybody around the country, all our members, a sample proclamation. It can be changed, it can be adjusted depending on the relationships that you have at the local level. And this is not a partisan issue. This is bipartisan. We can get proclamations in whatever towns we're in. Maybe they have conservative leadership. Maybe they have liberal leadership. Maybe they have something in between. Maybe they have something more extreme. It doesn't matter. People understand how important the post office is for their communities. It's really an anchor of so many communities historically, but now still an anchor of so many communities throughout our country. So we're asking you to do that. Get with the city councilors, get with the mayors, have a conversation, figure out how to get it done. And guess what? Bring yourselves and your coworkers and your family members and your customers to a meeting, and then once you get a proclamation, then it's going to be voted on. Talk about it. Make it a news story in the local newspaper. Send or encourage customers to send letters to the editors. This is all part of making sure that the hearts and minds of the people that are very much with the post office remain that way in this challenging and unprecedented time that we find ourselves in. So this is going to make a difference. The more proclamations we have, the better it will be as these billionaire privatizers try to move to take away what belongs to the people of the country. So we hope you'll take on this project. It's something everybody can work on. You can get with your local leadership or your state leadership and say, hey, I listened to the podcast and I think this is a great idea and I volunteer to help. Can we do something? I'm happy to go to a meeting with the mayor, who I happen to know, or I put a yard sign in my yard when the election was on. Or that city councilor that sits there, I went to high school with. Or I'm part of the veterans organization or the community group or the PTA. And so use all of those connections to go out there and organize public opinion ever stronger to make sure that the post office is full. The public post office continues to have the full support of the people. So that's part of our happy anniversary, postal system, postal workers most importantly, and we think it's going to make a huge difference as we face a challenging future where these privatizers really want to pick the pockets of the people of the country, destroy our unions and our union rights, and destroy our decent union jobs with it. So, folks, as we're organizing and mobilizing against the proposals and the plans and the actions of Wells Fargo and Wall Street against the public postal service and those billionaires that want to privatize us, we've issued a new ad that's already showing some on TV, but will mainly be shared with the people of the country through social media. So you have a very important role to play with that because social media can be amplified by anybody that's on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it all is. And as that amplification takes place, you can play a role in millions and millions of people seeing the ad. And the ad is an exposure, 30-second exposure of this Wells Fargo Equity Research Report cheering on and actually planning for postal privatization. So one, we encourage you to watch the ad. It's on our website and on our social media channels. And two, we ask you to try to spread it wherever you can, friends, family, neighbors, community organizations. And again, this ad is really part of the effort to alert the people to this real threat of privatization and to alert the people of the country of what's driving the threat, which is Wall Street greed versus the needs of Main Street and the people of the country. So, APWU family, I'll close out with this, and we'll look forward to speaking to you again in the not-too-distant future on future podcasts. Happy anniversary, 250 years, taking the torches from the generations, our ancestors before us, our ancestor postal workers, and be proud of what you do in this work. Not always easy. Night work, weekend work, holiday work, putting up with abusive supervisors, fighting back along the way. But it's a wonderful service that we provide the people of the country. And the 250th anniversary should give us some perspective that we have beyond going to work every day and punching the clock. Without you, there would not be a United States Postal Service. Without you, the people of the country would not get the service that they need, whether it's medicines to our veterans, ballots in the mail, greeting cards, love letters, periodicals, information, financial transactions, and of course, e-commerce in this day that will work for everybody, not just for those where a company can make money. So stand strong, onward to the next 250 years. APWU family, solidarity forever.